Hello everyone. In this video we'll talk about A to Z of financial market. So what are the different definitions or terminologies that we used in the financial market? So sometimes ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हैं, कोई आर्टिकल पढ़ते हैं, तो वहाँ पे स्टॉक मार्केट से रिलेटेड और वहाँ पे कुछ ऐसे टर्मिनोलॉजीज लिखे होते हैं जो हमें समझ नहीं आते एज अ कॉमन मैन. सो आई ट्राई टू गैदर दोज वर्ड्स एंड मेक अ वीडियो ऑन दोज वर्ड्स सो दैट अगर कोई लेमैन लैंग्वेज में अगर उसको कोई पढ़ना सीखना चाहे तो उसके लिए ईजी रहे. सो आई हैव लाइक अ prepared included a lot of words which are very commonly used in the financial market, which are very easy to learn. So I have basically written their definition. So agar aap go through karenge in slides se, you'll be able to understand what are the meaning of those words exactly. So let's start the video. So first one is the active market. These are the markets for securities which are characterized by frequent or large volume of trading and in which the difference between the buying price or selling price is small. So अगर कोई ऐसी market, मतलब obviously that market जहाँ पे बहुत सारी transaction trading हो रही है और जहाँ पे difference between a buying price or selling price is small, is called as active market, where the market is very active. Similarly active securities जहाँ पे ऐसे instruments जो बहुत day to day deals हो रही है और बहुत ज़्यादा transaction हो रही है is called as active securities. Next one is the advanced decline index. It's basically a ratio. So it's a ratio of number of shares which have risen in price to the number of shares which have fallen in price. So number of shares जिनके ratio बड़े हैं, number of शेयर्स जिनके प्राइस बढ़े हैं डिवाइडेड बाय नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स जिनके प्राइस गिरे हैं. Next is the application money. So it's the amount of money an investor has to pay for the application for purchasing securities. Like so अगर कोई सिक्योरिटी या फिर कुछ खरीदना है, सो यू पे अ प्री अमाउंट. जैसे आप घर खरीदते हो तो एक बिगनिंग में एक प्राइस पे करते हो. सिमिलरली अगर आप कुछ भी सिक्योरिटी परचेज करते हो कोई न्यूली इशूड, सो यू हैव टू पे अ अमाउंट, अ प्री अमाउंट एट द टाइम ऑफ एप्लीकेशन. दिस इज कॉल्ड अ एप्लीकेशन मनी. Next one is the arbitrage. So it means like a buying and selling of the same share at the same time बट इन अ डिफरेंट मार्केट. सो अगर कोई दो डिफरेंट, मतलब लेमैन लैंग्वेज में इसको बोलूँगी कि अगर आप कुछ भी खरीदते हो तो देन यू सी एट 2-3 प्लेसेस और जहाँ पे आपको एफिशिएंटली लगता है आप वहाँ से खरीदते हो. तो सिमिलरली अगर मतलब कोई सेम शेयर सेम टाइम पे खरीदना बट डिफरेंट मार्केट में जहाँ पे आपको लग रहा है द प्राइस इज लेस, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड अ आर्बिट्रेज. सो दैट डिफरेंस इज कॉल्ड एज अ आर्बिट्रेज. Asset management company, these are the simple like the companies that handle the daily admin work of all the funds and all the securities that are there. Like they make your portfolio and take care of it and make sure that you are getting benefit out of it. That is called an asset management company. At par, so many times we heard that this share is at it's sold as at par. It means when the face value is equal to the price where it is sold or bought, it is said it is sold or bought at par. जब face value उस प्राइस के बराबर हो जाती है जब वो खरीदा गया है या बेचा गया है तब उसको बोलते हैं at par. Auction market, as the name suggests, it's like a security market where the price are determined by the action of buyer and sellers transacting at a specified location, like the way we have our auctions, right? Normal auctions जो होते हैं जो डिफरेंट एक्टिव, लाइक बायर अगर कुछ बोल रहा है उससे कभी उसने प्राइस रेज कर दिया है या कुछ भी करा है तो इट बिकॉज ऑफ दोज एक्शंस द प्राइस ऑफ दैट थिंग गेट्स इंक्रीज्ड और डिक्रीज्ड. सो दैट इज बेसिकली अ ऑक्शन मार्केट. नेक्स्ट वन इज अ ऑथोराइज्ड शेयर मार्केट. सो अगर कोई भी कंपनी अपने शेयर्स को कंपनी के जो इशू कर रही है, द मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स अ कंपनी कैन इशू इज कॉल्ड एज ऑथोराइज्ड शेयर मार्केट. Next is the contango. So it's like a percentage paid by the buyer of a share for the postponement of transfer of shares from one settlement day to the next settlement day. So अगर आपको जो अपने जो शेयर्स के जो ट्रांसफ़र करना है, अगर आपको उसका एक सेटलमेंट डे से लेके अगर आपको कोई दूसरे दिन पे लगे, इफ़ यू हैव टू मेक अ पोस्टपोनमेंट ऑफ दैट ट्रांसफर ऑफ शेयर्स फ्रॉम one day to another, then you have to pay a certain percentage of the shares. That is called as contango. Next one is the bear market. So bear basically in stock market, a bear word indicates a decline, a bull word indicates a like a advance, like a upward, and bear indicates a downward. So a period of time where the stock market declines is called as a bear market. Next one is the beneficial owner. So the shareholder of the company is the beneficial owner, while a depository is the registered owner of the share held by the company. Next is the beta coefficient. So it's a measure of performance of a particular share in relation to the general movement of the market in term of price of respective share. So मतलब उस share की performance कैसे चल रही है respect of मार्केट की प्राइस कैसे चल रही है. जैसे आपका मार्केट 50 मतलब 3% से बढ़ रहा है और आपका शेयर भी 3% से बढ़ रहा है, सो इट इज इन सिंक विद द इंक्रीज ऑफ मार्केट. सो दैट इज बीटा कोएफिशिएंट. नेक्स्ट वन इज द ब्लू चिप स्टॉक्स. इट सिंपल मीन्स जो हाई क्वालिटी के स्टॉक्स हैं, जो बहुत अर्निंग्स थे, जो जिनका रेट ऑफ रिटर्न बहुत हाई है, that is called a blue chip stocks. Next one is a bonus share. So bonus share is something issued to existing shareholder as a result of capitalization of reserves. तो अगर बहुत it's like a in the equity section, balance sheet के जो equity section होता है उसमें जो cash included है, like बहुत सारा अगर cash is available, then sometimes we used to give, so अपने shareholders को एक bonus share दे देते हैं if we have like a reserve available. Next is the book closure. It refers to the closing the register of members by the company for a certain period. Okay, it's called a book closure. Bull and bear market, as I told you, अगर share price बढ़ रहा है तो it's called, the market is, it's going toward a bull market. अगर share price गिर रहा है then we say it's like a bear market. Capital gain or loss. So the difference between the price that is originally paid for a security at the time of maturity. ओके, सो डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्राइस. सो अगर आपने वो खरीद मतलब कोई शेयर लिया है, ठीक है, और उस मेच्योरिटी के टाइम पे उसका प्राइस बढ़ गया है. ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने कोई शेयर खरीदा है, उसका प्राइस बढ़ गया है बाद में आपके बेचने के टाइम, एट द टाइम ऑफ मेच्योरिटी, तो वी कॉल इट एज अ गेन. अगर आपका ऑब्वियसली लॉस हुआ है, मतलब आपका बेचने के टाइम उसका प्राइस जो है वो गिर गया है, तो वी कॉल इट एज अ लॉस. सो इट्स सिंपल लाइक अ कैपिटल गेन और लॉस वी हैव इन आवर डेली लाइफ. Next is a close-end fund. So an investment company or a scheme of investment that issues a fixed number of ownership claims or shares during a fixed period of time. It's called as a close-end fund. Next one is the conversion ratio. So number of equity shares exchangeable per bond at the time of conversion. So अगर exchange मतलब कभी कभी होता है कि हम shares को bond से exchange कर सकते हैं and all that thing. So that is called a conversion ratio. Next is the convertible security. So bond which is convertible into security shares at the option of the holder. Like one has an option to convert the shares into bond or vice versa, is called a convertible security. Next is cum dividend. We sometimes heard that it's cum dividend, means with dividend. It says with. Next is cumulative dividend. So a feature of preferred stock that requires all past dividend on preferred stock to be paid before any equity dividend are paid is called as a cumulative dividend. So a preferred stock जहाँ पे सारे past dividend has to be paid before any equity dividend are paid, that is called as a cumulative dividend. मतलब जितने भी आपके जो past dividends है वो सारे आपको पे करने होते हैं कंपनी को before any equity dividend are paid, they are called a cumulative dividend. Next is the current yield. The yield resulting from dividing the interest payment on it by its current market price. मतलब it's like a ratio of interest payment by market price. Deep market, the market in which there always sufficient order for buying and selling, like there is a lot of demand of the you know buying and selling the securities above the market price is called as a deep market. Like it's like the sometimes we call it as a both, like agar market price बढ़ रहा है घट रहा है, but if there is a lot of demand we say it is a deep market. Next is the discount, the amount by which a bond sells below its par or face value is called a discount. जो अगर उसकी face value और par value से अगर कम पैसों में अगर कोई बॉन्ड या स्टॉक बिक रहा है, वी कॉल इट एज दैट वी गॉट इट एज अ डिस्काउंट. नेक्स्ट इज अ डिविडेंड. सो द पीरियडिक पेमेंट टू द ओनर, अगर आपके पास शेयर्स हैं और आपको एक पीरियडिक पेमेंट मिलेगी विच इज कॉल्ड एज डिविडेंड. नाउ डिविडेंड वैल्यूएशन मॉडल, द मॉडल विच स्टेट्स दैट द करंट प्राइस ऑफ अ स्टॉक इज इक्वल टू द डिस्काउंटेड वैल्यू ऑफ इट्स ऑल फ्यूचर डिविडेंड is called as dividend valuation model. So model which states that current price of a stock is equal to the discounted value of its all future dividends is called as a dividend valuation model. Next is a dividend yield. So annual dividend stated as a percentage of share market price is called as dividend yield. like whatever the dividend you have, it's as a percentage of your share market price is called as a dividend yield. Earning multiplier model. So model which states that the price of a stock is equal to the product of its earning and a multiplier is called the earning multiplier model. It's like मतलब the जो price है stock का is equals to the जो earning है with the multiplier. It can be anything based on the calculations of the share of the company and all. So that basically calls as earning multiplier model. Next is earning per share. So it's like a profit after tax dividend divided by a total number of equity share. It's like a profit after tax dividend you get divided by a total number of equity shares. Okay, that is called a earning per share. That what is the earning you are getting, as per the total number of equity shares you have. Earning yield is a ratio of earning per share to the market price of the share. Like what is the earning you have made as compared to the market price of the share is called a earning yield. Next is the efficient portfolio. So a portfolio which has a largest expected return for a given level of risk or the smallest risk for a given level of expected. Efficient portfolio is जो आपको सबसे ज़्यादा largest return मतलब जो अच्छा आपको return दे सकता है at a given level of risk, और या तो आपके रिटर्न्स कम होंगे और रिस्क स्मॉल होगा, वॉट एवर सूट्स यू इज कॉल्ड एफिशिएंट पोर्टफोलियो. यू डिसाइड लाइक अ पीपल डिसाइड व्हाट इज एफिशिएंट फॉर अस. लाइक रिस्क वो ज़्यादा ले सकते हैं या रिस्क ज़्यादा ले सकते हैं तो उसमें क्या होता है कि जो बेनिफिट होता है, जो रेट ऑफ रिटर्न होता है वो कम होता है, या फिर रेट ऑफ रिटर्न ज़्यादा होता है, रिस्क ज़्यादा होता है. तो वॉट एवर सूट्स पर्सन टू पर्सन इज कॉल्ड एज अ एफिशिएंट पोर्टफोलियो. इट डिफर्स फ्रॉम वन पर्सन टू अनदर पर्सन. नेक्स्ट इज द इक्विटी डेरिवेटिव सिक्योरिटीज. Security that derive their value entirely or in part by having a claim on the underlying common stocks is called as equity derivative securities, which are based on the equity, like the value depend on the underlying common stocks. Next is the equity fund, a fund which invest in the it's simple, like a fund which invest in the common stocks like a shares of the company is called as an equity fund. Euro equities, common and preferred stocks offered outside the domestic capital market is called as a euro equities. Like if it is not in your domestic market, it's like the stocks they are offered outside your domestic border is called as a outside equities, or you call it as a euro equities. Next is the ex dividend. Ex dividend is without dividend. Something that is without dividend is also called as ex dividend. Next is fixed income securities. Securities with specified payment, and when you know that this is the amount, like this is the maturity date, this is the amount of payment I like to get after a few years or few days, these are called as a fixed income securities. Like NSCs होते हैं, बहुत सारी जो डिपॉजिट्स होते हैं, फिक्स डिपॉजिट होते हैं, where you know that this is the amount you will be getting after this many years is called as fixed income securities. Next is the foreign equity market, that portion of the domestic equity market that represents issues floated by a foreign company. So अगर आपकी फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपकी शेयर मार्केट है और जिसमें कुछ शेयर्स आपका इश्यूज जो है वो फॉरेन कंपनीज के थ्रू हैं, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ फॉरेन इक्विटी मार्केट. नेक्स्ट इज द गोइंग इन द टैंक. व्हेन द सिक्योरिटी लूजेज इट्स वैल्यू फास्ट, इट इज ऑलरेडी लॉस्ट इज वैल्यू, इट इज सेड टू बी गोइंग इन द टैंक. मतलब आपने कोई चीज़ खरीदी है और उसका वैल्यू कम हो गई है, इट्स लाइक गोइंग इन द टैंक, इट्स लाइक यू हैव लॉस्ट वैल्यू. Next is the growth stocks. Stocks of a company that have an opportunity to invest money or to earn money more than the opportunity cost of capitals. The share on which the return has been increasing and expected to increase in the future. So as the name suggests, वो stocks जिनके रेट ऑफ रिटर्न बहुत ज़्यादा हाई है या फिर एक्सपेक्टेड है कि आने वाले साल में उनका रिटर्न बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ने वाला है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ ग्रोथ स्टॉक्स. नेक्स्ट इज द हेज. इट्स अ वेरी कॉमन वर्ड यूज्ड. सो हेज इज लाइक अ वन इन्वेस्टमेंट परचेज्ड अगेंस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट इन ऑर्डर टू काउंटर एनी लॉस मेड बाय द ईदर. सो अगर आपके पास 2-3 यू हैव अ पोर्टफोलियो इन विच यू हैव लाइक अ 3 or 4 different kind of securities, but आपका 2 securities बहुत लॉस कर रही है, तो you make a kind of you make the exchange of the security, or you purchase investment against any other security कि ठीक है इसको हटा के I'll take that, so that you won't have it, so you just counter your loss, so that is called a hedge. Hot money. So it means short-term funds which fly from center to center in the world to secure higher interest rate or to avoid any political or other risk is called as hot money. Next is index fund. It is a fund which invests in the price index of a security with an objective to generate return equivalent to the return on index. So मतलब जो आपका जैसे आपका न्यूयॉर्क स्टॉक एक्सचेंज है, बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, जो आपका इंडेक्स का जो रेशियो चल रहा है, अगर आपकी जो सिक्योरिटी है उसका इंडेक्स भी सेम चल रहा है, सो वी से दैट इट्स एन इंडेक्स फंड, मतलब इट गिव्स यू अ रिटर्न equivalent to the return on the index is called as index fund. Next is IPO, which is initial public offer, is the selling of the securities in the public to the public in the primary market. Okay, so whatever the shares of the company has, you are just selling those shares in the public in the primary market is called as IPO. Insider trading, it is trading in security on the basis of inside information. You heard ना कि जिसके पास जैसे कुछ insider information है कि मुझे पता है कि अच्छा ये वाला शेयर इसके पास, like I have some नोन पर्सन इन द कंपनी, और जिसने मुझे इन्फॉर्म कर दिया कि ठीक है इसमें कुछ ऐसे एक्टिविटीज़ होने वाली है जिसकी वजह से इसके शेयर प्राइस बढ़ जाएंगे. सो आई गॉट टू नो कि ओके मैं इसके शेयर्स थोड़े से खरीद लेती हूँ क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि आगे चल के 1 महीने में इसके प्राइस बढ़े जा सकते हैं. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. यू हैव द इनसाइड इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द कंपनी एंड इन विच यू डू योर एक्टिविटीज़. इट्स कॉल्ड एज इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. Next is interest rate parity. So the risk rising from a change in the price of a security result from a change in the market interest rate. It's called as interest rate parity. So जो सिक्योरिटी का जो प्राइस है, इट रिजल्ट्स फ्रॉम अ चेंज इन द मार्केट इंटरेस्ट. अगर जो भी मार्केट में इंटरेस्ट रेट अगर बढ़ रहा है या घट रहा है, उसकी वजह से आपकी सिक्योरिटी में भी चेंज आ सकता है, तो वो जो रिस्क है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ इंटरेस्ट रेट पैरिटी. नेक्स्ट इज इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स. The bank or the companies or the firms that advise issuing entities on stock and bond offering and take an active role in the distribution of the security, like those who do all kind of financial activities, is called as a investment bank, and they used to give a lot of recommendations, suggestions, or advise the companies to where you have to where you have to take part, or what is good for you, what is bad for you. It's called as an investment bank. Issued capital, it is that part of authorized capital of any company which has been sold to the individual and investors to the buyers of the shares of the company. It's called a issued capital. Like shares, जैसे किसी कंपनी कोई शेयर निकालती है and then they sell it to the shares, like to the individuals or to the investors or the buyers of the company. Is called that portion is called as issued capital. Curb trading, so it is the unofficial trading in security outside the stock exchange premises during and after the official trading hours. So that कि इतने बजे आपका मार्केट खुलता है और इतने बजे बंद होता है, बट आप कोई ट्रेड कर रहा है before and after those official hours is called as curb trading. Next is leveraged buyout. The purchase of a common stock of a firm with borrowed fund is called as leveraged buyout. When you purchase a common stock with someone's borrowed firm is called as leveraged buyout. Margin buying, it refers to buying some shares with cash and paying for additional shares by borrowing from the stockbroker is called as a margin buying. So आप कोई शेयर खरीद रहे हो और by borrowing from the stockholder by paying for additional shares, it's called as margin buying. Next is mark to market. So daily process of debiting or crediting gains and losses result from change in price of a security. So आपको whatever the gain or losses results from change in the price of security on a daily basis called as a mark to market. Like mark to market is like what is happening in the market, like what are the actual value of your shares as per the market. Like for like today you have gained or you have lost the amount of it is called as a mark to market. Next is market capitalization. So it is equal to the share price of a company at a point of a time multiplied by its outstanding number of its share at that point of time. So share price, जैसे किसी कंपनी का एक शेयर प्राइस है, उसका 5 रुपये का प्राइस है और उसके आउटस्टैंडिंग शेयर्स लाइक मल्टीप्लाइड बाय नंबर ऑफ द शेयर्स. सो अगर आप उसके 200 शेयर्स हैं जो बाहर हैं, सो द कंपनी का जो मार्केट कैप होगा वो होगा 5 into 200 which is like 1000. Okay. Okay, market maker. So a business entity that acting as principal buy as and sell securities. So is like a professional dealer who ensure that lenders and borrowers are always able to find a counterpart for their deal. Like market maker is like when you know that when you have a buyer or a seller in a place, called as a market maker. Net worth. So the book value of a company's common stock, surplus and retained earning is called as a net worth, so which is the book value of a company's common stock. Next is oversubscription, when the total value of the security for which the investors have applied exceeds the total value of the security issued by a company. So as we said, the authorized share capital, in which the company has a maximum amount of shares that they can issued to the public or the investors. So if the demand of those shares those people have applied is exceeds to the number of shares issued by the company. So for example, demand है 100 की और आपने जो shares issue करे वो 50 हैं, तो that is called a oversubscription. Next is paid up capital. So it is the equity capital of the company which the shareholder have subscribed and fully paid for. Like obviously the paid up capital is the equity capital which the shareholders have subscribed and they paid for your share capital is called a paid up capital. Par value, the value of the security. Par value, the value of a security when it is issued. कोई भी share price जब आता है, जब issue होता है, तो उसका जो amount होता है, that is called as a par value or a face value. What is a preferred stock? An equity share. Okay, equity share with a claim on a firm assets and earning is called as a preferred stock. Next is premium. The difference between the face value of the security and the price at which it is actually sold in the market is known as a premium. So difference between the face value and the price at which is actually sold. अगर उसका face value है 20 और अगर वो 40 पे बिक रहा है कोई share या फिर कोई भी security, so that is called as a premium. So the 20 is the premium. Next is the primary market. Market that brings surplus spending unit together with deficit spending units in the process of financing productive activities. With the deficit spending units. So market that has surplus spending units together with deficit spending units in the process of financing productive activities is called as a primary market. Next is a PE ratio. So the ratio of price of a share divided by the earning per share is called as a price of a share divided by earning per share is called as a PE ratio. Next is the repurchase agreement. So an agreement between buyer and seller in the sale of a security to reverse the transaction in the future at a specified date and price is called as a repurchase agreement. Like buyer, it's an agreement between the buyer and the seller. So अगर future में कभी आपको transaction repurchase करनी है या reverse करनी है, so it's an agreement of that. Next is retained earning. So it's that part of the company's net profit after tax which is not distributed to the shareholder as dividend and which is kept with the company for the future use or for the company's growth is called as a retained earnings. As the name suggests, like whatever the earnings you retain, like a company retain its earning, it's not for the distribute, it's not for the amount that is not there for to distribute it as a dividend. The company keeps it for its growth is called as a retained earning. Next is rights issue. Issue of securities offered to existing shareholders on a priority basis. Like issue of like any issue which is offered to the existing shareholders, not to the new shareholders, on a priority basis called rights issues. Risk premium, the additional compensation demanded by investors above the risk-free rate of return for assuming risk. The larger the risk premium. So कभी कभी companies क्या होते हैं, उनको पता है कि there risk which is there, so they pay you a risk premium. Okay, so जितना बड़ा risk होगा उतना बड़ा वो premium pay करेगी. Next is a security market line. So the line representing the relationship between the risk and the return for individual and inefficient portfolio. So it's like basically a line, it's a graph which shows a relation, what's the trend between the risk and the return of the portfolio is called as security market line. Next is a short position. So a position in which the investor is obliged to deliver an asset in future. It is a position of seller for the security basically, जो उसको डिलीवर करना है, like it's the position in which the investor is obliged to deliver an asset in the future, like mandatory, the the investor has to deliver an asset in the future. It is called as a short position. Next is a short sale, the sale of the stock not owned in order to take advantage of an expected decline in the price. If the decline occurs, the stock can be purchased and the short position closed. So the sale is not owned in order to take the advantage of an expected decline in the price. Agar decline hota hai to stock can be purchased by any entity or by any individual. It's called a short sale. Next is stock. Similarly, it's like an instrument of ownership of a particular asset which are issued by a company. It's called as shares or a stock. Next is stock derivative. It is a derivative whose underlying is a share of some company. Okay. Next is stock dividend. So a payment of dividend by the corporation in the form of ordinary shares rather than a cash is called as stock dividend. Like sometimes some people give their dividends in form of cash, some they give you additional shares, more share, they call it stock dividend. Next is stock split. A given shares of given face values exchange for more than one share, with the result that the face value of the new share will be lower than that of the earlier share. मतलब अगर आपके पास shares हैं and then you exchange it, 50 रुपए का share and then you exchange it with a small amount of share, like एक 20 का खरीद लिया, एक 30 का खरीद लिया, 40 का खरीद लिया, like bifurcation of 50, like उसका small part कर लिया and then you exchange it with a one or more share of a less price. That is called a stock split. Next is tender offer. General offer made directly to a firm shareholder to buy their stocks. Office जो companies होते हैं, like they make a tender कि okay, they invite the people to a firm shareholder to buy their stock, is called as a tender offer. Next is a trade date. It's a transaction date on which the investor has bought or sold the security in the market, is called as a trade date. Treasury stock, common stock that has been repurchased by the company and held in company's treasury. जो वो स्टॉक्स जो कंपनी उसको खुद ही खरीद लेती है और ट्रेजरी में रखती है, कॉल्ड एज ट्रेजरी स्टॉक. नाउ व्हाट इज अंडर प्राइसिंग? अ स्टॉक इशू ऑफ सिक्योरिटी बिलो द मार्केट वैल्यू. अगर जो उसका मार्केट वैल्यू इससे नीचे अगर कोई फ्लोट हो रहा है, इशू हो रही है सिक्योरिटी, इज कॉल्ड एज अंडर प्राइसिंग. नेक्स्ट इज अंडर राइटिंग, द अरेंजमेंट इन विच द इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर्स अंडरटेक टू इंश्योर द सक्सेस ऑफ द इशू ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी. Okay, so investment bankers जो होते हैं, जैसे I said, the investment bank, they do all kind of activities so that जो security market है वो maintain रहे, या फिर they do all kind of recommendation and all kind of advices. So those deals with all kind of around securities, that is called investment bank. So the arrangement done by those to ensure जो आपने security issue करी है वो successful हो, that is called as underwriting. Next is a warrant. A corporate created option to purchase a stated number of common shares at a specified price within a specified time is a warrant in the stock financial market. Next is the yield. So the total of all dividends for last 1 year, like the total of all the dividend of last 1 year as a percentage of month end price in case of an open ended scheme, and as a percentage of market price in the case of a close ended scheme, is a yield. So it's basically is a percentage of your month end offer price or a market price. Next is yield curve. So it's a graph showing yield on y-axis and period of maturity on x-axis for fixed income investment of the same kind. So it's like a price period of maturity on x-axis and yield, what is the yield they are giving on y-axis for fixed income investment. Next is yield to maturity, the average annual rate of return to a bond investor who buys a bond today and holds it until it's mature. Okay, it's the rate of return that causes the market price to equal exactly the present value of the future cash flows. So the rate of return to a bond investor who buys a bond today and then it holds until it gets mature is called the yield to maturity. Like whatever you get at the time of maturity, the rate of return who buys today and then it sees price at the time of maturity, like whatever the amount you are getting, it's kind of a yield to maturity. So basically it's a rate of return that causes the market price to equal exactly the present value of the future cash flows, gets become your yield to maturity. So basically these are the different terms that are collected, that I have found in different articles and which are very commonly used in the stock market. I hope this video is useful to you, and you just go through these slides and you can just read the definition. I'm sure that everything is not like I cannot explain. There's a lot of terms and a lot of things, so obviously I cannot explain all in one video or like that. So you can just go through these PPTs, and when you read it, I think you'll be able to understand what it is there. I think this video is useful to you. So if it is useful to you, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.